Are we ready to go? Ooh. Okay. I think we're ready. Okay. All right, I'll call this special city commission meeting to order. It is June 17th, 2015, and it is 6:32 p.m. Please stand for the invocation by Commissioner Byron Williams, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as we come now to discuss this settlement, God, just give us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we can do things that's best for the city of High Springs. And we just pray all things work together for our good. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Parham, roll call, please.
Mayor Weller?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jameson?
Here.
Commissioner Evans?
Here.
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Thank you. All right, we have one business item, and that is to review and consider approval of a settlement agreement with North End Homeland LLC versus the City of High Springs, case number 01-2013-CA-4397. Mr. Attorney?
Madam Mayor, we've been in discussions with the attorney for North End Homeland. It is our understanding that their corporate representative will be signing the document first thing in the morning, and the discussions between our manager and Mr. Delaney have been productive, and that this is an agreement between the parties. Courtney and Jeff Braswell spent the better part of the afternoon. Courtney drafted this, sent it to him, he's approved it, and we're done and ready to go. So the deposition in tomorrow morning will be canceled, and there should be very little further legal work associated with this project, and hopefully a lot more house building than lawyering. That's the hope and the desire. Why don't I kind of summarize the agreement, if you would like me to, and then I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'll just kind of summarize it paragraph by paragraph. If anybody wants me to read it word for word, I'm happy to do that, if that's what you would like to do.
No.
But, okay.
You talk enough as is, Scott.
The style of the case is what we have first. Sorry.
I would just apologize for the late hour.
Oh, thank you.
Well, and the reason for that is Courtney started today. It got reviewed by several attorneys, including myself in the office. We had our internal changes. Then sometime afternoon, it went to Mr. Braswell. He had some changes. And then by the time all that happened, it was into the evening and then sent to you all. So that's basically what transpired. We'd hoped to do it a little quicker, but this is pretty quick for lawyering to begin with. It's a settlement agreement between these parties, and there's a developer agreement that was entered in. That's the first whereas clause, and of course, as you know, it relates to the improvements of the property. There was an amended developers agreement. North End paid $256,000 and some change for the extension of the water and wastewater lines, and High Springs Hills had a part of this, and they paid $754,000 and then reimbursed North End some monies per the amendment to the developers agreement. And as of August 16, 2006, North End has constructed 15 single-family homes and has had water and impact fees for $47,360. We wish to terminate the existing development agreement and the amended developer agreement by this agreement, which will terminate, rescind, and reconstitute the original developer agreement. So this will be a standalone agreement on its own. We're settling into this agreement to resolve all the issues described in the above described lawsuit, and there will be a voluntary dismissal at the end of the lawsuit by both parties, and this agreement also provides the releases as to any of the issues that could have been brought through that lawsuit. This is the next provision is Article 1 that says all the recitals and the whereas clauses are part and parcel of this agreement and incorporated into the agreement. There's a definitional section. Courtney spent a lot of time on defining what a credit is, and that's an important issue because credits were a part and parcel of a lot of the discussion and the consternation of the old agreements. So credit means for North End to pay, and everybody's got to pay their impact fees, so they are paying $2,370, which is the water and wastewater impact fee due to the city at the time when normal impact fees are due for homes built connected to the extension line and sold by North End in Weston Oaks, Phase 1, during the term of this agreement. However, North End is entitled to an immediate refund of the $2,370, and the net effect of this provision is that no monies shall exchange hands between the parties, and the credit will be indicated on the receipt issued by the city. North End will receive either a credit or a reimbursement for each residential connection for Weston Oaks Phase 1. Impact fees defined. North End means what it means. The Oak Ridge is the development. Reimburse means for the city to pay North End at the time when impact fees are ordinarily due, $2,370 for homes built and sold by parties other than North End in Weston Oaks, because Weston Oaks is a developer and they're building some of their homes, but they're selling off some of their lots, and those lots that are built and connected, we're going to reimburse them for the cash. There's that is where monies actually do change hands.
We'll collect it from the other builder and then
That's right.
reimburse it. So
We're collecting the money.
there's a difference between North End gets the credit, another builder, the money gets.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. The idea being that North End actually paid the money, so North End's actually getting
Yes.
paid back.
Doesn't cost us anything. We're getting the money and then just
That's
routing
right.
it
It's
to
a
North
wash.
End.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
exactly
was thinking, there's nothing coming out of the city's pocket.
right. That's
But
right.
it's getting paid,
That's right.
got it, all right.
So Weston Oaks is defined per the agreement. And then what is the city obligated to do? Well, we're prepaying, we're front-loading $30,000 in credits. That's going to be money that's going to flow through Jeff Braswell's trust account. In attorney world, that means that probably some of that money is not going to go to North End. It's probably going to stay at home with Scruggs Carmichael and pay some attorney's fees and some costs that he's going to, but that's part of the deal. And it, as we talked about at our closed session, that's part of the greasing of the skids that your manager put together in the creative part of this agreement. And then we get reimbursed for 13 homes over time. So as they build the home, connect it, and then are getting their certificate of occupancy, they will pay $2,730 per those homes. So we'll get reimbursed our $30,000 over time. And they have a number of homes that are under build right now. They're developing them. When those homes come online, we'll get our money back for that 30 homes. There's going to be $800, a shortfall of $800 that they will suffer as a result of that. So it's kind of like interest on our money a little bit. So that they get upside down for the $800 for the first 13 homes. Now, when we get to the 14th home,
I just wanted to clarify, it's 2370 is what he'll be paying for those first 30.
right?
He just
That's right.
transposed it, I think.
Okay, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
He said
You
20,
didn't think that we were gonna.
yeah,
go
he said 2730, but I
It's
think he just transposed it.
Yeah, yep. And then, so the next provision, which is paragraph 2, so once we get to that 14th home in the development, then it's going to be the wash situation. They are supposed to pay, and this is for homes that they're building. They pay it, but they're getting credit at an immediate time, so no money's gonna change hands. So that's what happens.
While
Okay,
while
so-
we're on that paragraph, I had one question about it. If they build a home, I know it's kind of a wash, we get paid back for that. Now, what if another developer's in there and builds a home? Do we keep that money that they pay in?
Yes.
And then it goes towards the 13? Okay.
It's a wash because.
But that counts towards their first 13 homes, whether they build them or somebody else does.
Right, that's right. And again, after the 13, let's say that the 14th home is by XYZ building company. So when they get their certificate of occupancy, they're gonna pay 2730, whatever the amount is.
2370.
2370.
He likes 2730.
So they're gonna pay that amount. XYZ company will pay that amount to the city, and then the city is gonna cut a check to North End for like amount. And so again, it's a wash. Now, the downside to all that is we're not putting money into our impact fees into a fund, which have to be segregated for expansion of the system. I think he's got that under control based upon his Mid-Tower studies that I think he's calculated all that into the analysis, and he's looked at the capacity that you have, and we're okay. You know, we're going to have enough money that's going to be there to expand the system, and we should be all right.
And so under item 2, where North End actually builds the home, they're not going to give us any money, and we're not going to give them any money. Right?
Bingo.
Okay.
Just immediate credit.
Right.
That's basically what happens. And paragraph 3 just further defines that concept. Paragraph 4, the city's above obligation is issue credits and pay reimbursements in accordance with shall commence with a. So that's basically talking about after the 14th home, and also defines it that this transaction occurs at the certificate of occupancy stage, which is how our impact fee works.
Let me just clarify, because I think it was something Jason did on it. Let's say you got the first 13 homes. Let's say the 10th home built is an outside developer. That 10 goes towards the 13, the money would be routed.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But it's part of the first 13 though.
That's right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
So we may not get that 30,000 back because of that.
When you say routed,
Well, if the 10th home is built by Anderson Builders, I pay the 2370. The city then makes it, gives it to North.
No, we keep it.
We keep it.
so it doesn't matter if there's 13 homes.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
So then the builder, we can collect impact fees on all of those, and it doesn't matter if they're getting that.
That's right. The last agreement, there was ambiguity. They're fully aware of that. I'm just saying, that's not something that's somebody to come back and sue and go back in litigation as far as money after money.
And so that's why it's, so that first paragraph under Article 3 versus 40,000, says as advanced committed for any and all credits and reimbursements due from impact fees to residential connections. And then you can also see in paragraph 3, and so paragraph 3 is where it talks about the reimbursement, the actual check the city would write to North End because of Scott Jameson Builders. And in that paragraph, it still says, starting with the 14th single-family residence in Oakridge.
I just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if that doesn't read clear,
No, I think that those two areas clarify that concept sufficiently. And then the other thing that I think that brings up is that if there's a breach and you can't figure out what this thing says, then there's a process that you have to go to mediation. And this is on page 9. We'll kind of jump ahead right now because I think it answers the question that you just asked, Commissioner Jameson. In the event mediation is unsuccessful, in other words, we can't settle it at mediation, then any legal action or proceeding is brought into enforcement of the settlement agreement because the alleged dispute, breach, or default or misrepresentation in connection with the provision of the settlement agreement, the successful or prevailing party shall be entitled to recover reasonable attorney's fees and court costs. That's another provision that was not in the old agreement. In other words, if somebody just brings a BS shakedown suit against you and this is a clearly defined agreement and you get there and somebody's doing that to you, kind of just holding it over your head for nuisance value, like we spoke about the other night, then it becomes more dangerous because now the prevailing party is entitled to any and all attorney's fees that are reasonable that you've incurred in that process. So it kind of ups the ante a little bit. I think we've talked all the way through on page 5 through paragraph 4. The city's above obligation to issue credits and pay reimbursements to North End in accordance with Article 3, paragraphs 2 and 3 shall commence on that 14th single-family residence. The city, on paragraph 5, city shall continue to issue credits and remit reimbursements to North End until a total amount of $173,401.45 is either credited or reimbursed. So also you kind of have to incorporate the fact that $30,000 is paid up front. So now we're down to $143,401.45 because we prepaid the credits for $30,000 as per paragraph 1 of that section. City shall issue credits and reimbursements to North End at the time the impact fees are orderly due. Number 7, North End shall only receive a credit reimbursement for each residential connection in Weston Oaks. Number 8, city shall allow North End to install appropriate signage. They've got to comply with DOT requirements and the city's sign, and they have to get a lease. That's the 3 things they've got to do on that. The $30,000 is consideration and part of what is being prepaid for credits and reimbursements for the first 13 homes. These are the North End obligations now. North End shall not receive any credits or reimbursements for the first 13 homes built. That's paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, North End shall request credits and for impact fees under the subdivision. North End shall make the best efforts to contact the original contractor and engineer. Candidly, they don't have internal as-built at this point either. Strange that they don't have it. Strange that we don't have it. Well, I don't know.
I had a discussion with them. What he really basically said is they tried to get them, and it was the group that was doing Oak Ridge, the original Oak Ridge people. They actually contracted out, did it, and didn't provide any information to anyone else, including costs, engineering specs. What he said was, because our relationship with the engineer, Edmonds, Joan Edmonds, that he will contact Joan Edmonds to find out if he has in his files those plans.
Good. So hopefully we'll get some as-built, and that's what the paragraph 4 is all about. It will help us. I don't think it's absolutely critical to us because he's going to find his water lines and sewer lines and that sort of thing, but it's sure good to have. There's no doubt about that. Paragraph 6, they're going to follow the relevant city ordinances and they're going to surrender all rights pursuant to the existing developer agreement and the amendment to the developer agreement. The billing and payment provisions that for each residential home constructed and connected, then they're going to, at the time of the certificate of occupancy, that's when they're due for their 2370 after the 13 homes. And then subparagraph 2 talks about the reimbursement provisions. Term is December 8, 2020, and Article 7 talks about our impact fee ordinance, which is straightforward, and other provisions. If somebody breaches the contract, we have 45 days to cure. So standard legalese on that. We've already talked about if we have a problem, then we're gonna go to mediation, which is of course non-binding, and if you can't solve it in mediation, then everybody's free to go to court, but you have a
Mr.
problem.
Under the Article 7, impact fees, number 2, where it says, if we change the impact fees, that amount accredited or reimbursed won't change, does that mean that, let's say the impact fees go up to $5,000, will North End have to pay that $5,000 and then they
yes.
just get, okay, so.
That's right.
They
That's
don't, they have to pay if it goes up.
That's
they're gonna
right.
pay, okay,
And
that difference, basically.
you can rest assured that legal and your manager are not going to say impact fees can go lower than 2370
Right,
until
no.
2020.
Right.
We're fully aware of this situation, and so they're not going to go under that number, and they could go higher as the economy heats up, and he'll, I'm sure, do more studies as to expansion of the system, and if he feels like he needs to tinker with his impact fee fund, then there's a potential that would go up. But for right now, I don't think he sees any immediate need to increase that fund.
No, but
Okay.
for the record, it was the Booth impact fee study that Mid Tower
Yes,
redid and put their thing on top of it.
okay.
True.
True.
Just
I remember.
for curiosity's sake, not saying I want to lower impact fees or anything, could it be something in the future if we decided, hey, we want to lower impact fees to 1,500? Can we lower them to 1,500 everywhere except Weston Oaks, or it has to be citywide? Okay.
Yeah, you got a uniform, and those monies are segregated and have to be used for expansion purposes only. Cannot go into your general fund.
Yeah, I know that.
So
And
that's-
they had been 7,900 before we did the study.
The city decided they wanted to lower impact fees to 1,500, would probably be very reasonable to be able to work out the agreement with North End. and
True.
say, You're gonna get credited 1,500, and
Yeah.
we're gonna write you a check. for
No,
the
The difference,
You wouldn't be
yeah.
prohibited from.
Again,
lowering
not saying I
it.
want to,
That's-
just,
Let's see, I think that brings us to notices. That's straightforward. There's nothing unusual about that. Force majeure means that if there's a hurricane that comes through and everybody's delayed and can't perform, they can't build houses, that this agreement will be delayed during that period of time. Laws under the state of Florida and this jurisdiction, if anything's severable, it will be severed out. The rest of the agreement stands. Prior agreements are rescinded, can't be assigned without.
Just a real question. Who determines whether or not they can work, and who determines the start and end date of the delay?
God.
Or FEMA.
Yeah, FEMA would be,
I'm
really.
just asking.
Yeah.
If you get down to where they say, well, if there's a discrepancy in the time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm just asking, is there?
Yeah. It would be, there would have to be a significant calamity, and it would have to be established that
I've
we
got that.
can't
I
get
just-
electrical and that kind of thing. FEMA would probably be your best arbiter.
Okay.
That'd probably be your
I
best.
just want to make sure there's something
Yeah.
where you didn't come into.
And, I think that question, though, brings up the whole concept of this thing that we talked about, and the kind of, whenever you're in litigation, you want to beat the other side, and there's a competitive spirit that just gets natural human behavior to want to do that. But your job as commissioners is to promote development, to promote to allow for reasonable cost housing for your citizens. And so, if there was a act of God where there was a hurricane that came through and they needed some time, the likelihood is that you'd say, hey, we're going to give you some extra time.
I'm not saying you would. I just.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the other side of it is that we got hurt in the recession. We know they got hurt in the recession. So there is, even in Gainesville and even in Alachua County, which is not particularly known to be development friendly, there's a reason some people refer to it the People's Republic of Alachua County. there's a reason why it's referred in that way. But they are extending development agreements, and so this is not unheard of to extend a development agreement.
Actually, in the 2004, 2005, the governor extended for everybody in the state several years for the contractors and for the developers. Yeah, he extended that because there was a 10-year limit by DOE, and then then he put a 2-year extension on all that due to the hurricanes that came through in those areas.
It's fine, and my only thing is not to this, we kind of contract, I want to contract where we're not back here litigating.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all. So I'm just asking a question to where you're, this is supposed to stop litigation.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's all.
Can't guarantee it that.
You can sue for anything, right,
yeah,
Scott, I got
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
I'm just wanting,
Yeah.
okay.
But the one, I mean, under the enforcement, however you say that, there we go, not a lawyer. Say we have a hurricane come through in 2016, and yeah, they're delayed a couple of months. I mean, does that automatically give them precedent where they can say, well, we have to extend this agreement?
Yeah, I think what they would do is they'd send a letter to you and say, hey, we've been delayed for 6 months. We can't build out there, or 2 months or whatever. Would you agree to give us a 6 months extension? And the likelihood is you're going to say, yeah, you go to June of 2021. You know, that would be the normal course of events.
You're not gonna stick them, but I
No.
just.
Right, right. That's right.
Okay.
Can't be amended without the specific execution of a written document and the same formalities as this document. This doesn't pledge any of our ad valorem revenues. We're both releasing each other from any and all claims that could be made as a result of the original development agreement or the litigation that's in this provision. And each party bears their own attorney's fees and costs to get here. And this agreement cannot be considered as an agreement for the city of High Springs until you ratify and approve it conceivably at this meeting. So that's the general gist of it, and if you approve the terms, then the appropriate motion would be for our mayor and appropriate city officials to enter into the agreement, which is titled Settlement Agreement between City of High Springs and North End Homeland LLC.
Okay, any questions?
Just as kind of a recap, everything prior where it's a wash, whether they can't come back and say, well, you still owe us for those 2 houses built during the moratorium. No.
That's right.
Starting from square one, new agreement.
Done.
The first 13 are being paid by the 30 we're giving them within 45 days or whatever it says in there. After the 13, regardless of who builds it, we pay them the $23.70, either reimburse them or credit them, whichever may be the case.
That's right.
Up to the 173 whatever change.
That's right.
And they've got to December 2020, whatever,
Yep.
of 2020, for this to be in effect, or that 170 to be paid off,
That's right.
whichever comes first, unless there's an act of God that severely delays things.
All right.
That's exactly right. That's that, in a nutshell, you've summarized it exactly correct.
I mean, as far as legal advice, I mean, is this one of the better outcomes as far as what your legal aspect would say?
The legal aspect of it would be, I think, that it ends December 8th of this year, and they are not going to get they're not going to get anywhere close to where they need to be to get certificate of occupancy to get reimbursed for the $173,000. So theoretically, every home that gets connected, that means $23.70 goes into his impact fee fund, and he has more money to expand the system. That's from a operational standpoint and from that side, that would be the best legal outcome to the city. But in order to get there, you're going to have to spend money to get there, number one, and we're going to spend at least $30,000 would be my estimate on summary judgment motions. And you don't ever get that money back unless you win
The summary judgment.
and you get the offer of judgment rule comes into effect, and then you got a piece of paper that says you're entitled to some money, and then you got to go execute on that money, and all of this is without certainty. So I guess the best advice I can give you is if you have certainty and you have an agreement and you can direct your future, then I think that is a good legal outcome for you. The other second component of that is I think getting out of the mindset of a litigant and being in the mindset of a city commissioner, your job is not to look at the situation in a black and white manner. Your job is to try to improve the betterment of your citizens. And if part of that process is increasing development and making it better, the better it is. So that's the gist of it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the settlement agreement between North End Homeland LLC and the City of High Springs, and direct the mayor and city staff to approve such documents.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Evans and second by Commissioner Jameson. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, motion passes. Oops, no, I
Yeah, we
didn't have to
kinda
do roll
gotta vote
call.
on it.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay? All right, motion, someone make a motion to adjourn?
I make a
Motion to adjourn.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:03 PM. Thank you.